From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
We teach women and girls how to read and write in South Sudan. So our goal is to raise the national literacy rate by teaching the mothers and the sisters how to read and write, and then they teach their husbands and friends and relatives how to read and write. We work in South Sudan, and we're primarily focused on raising the literacy rate in northern Bahr Ghazal, which is the most northwesternly state of South Sudan. There's 10 states, and we're trying to saturate one state and empower that state with literacy skills to serve as an example for the rest of the nation, the other 9 states of South Sudan. Well, we get to see on a daily basis the effects literacy has on improving the health for women. We have been working also with health-related groups to bring more information to our literacy sites about better practices in maternal health and hygiene. So we have seen a great correlation between literacy and improving the health outcomes for the women and girls of South Sudan. Well, I'll give you an example. So one woman that is learning how to read at one of our sites, she had told me she had a very sick son, and she carried him for miles to get to the clinic. And when she was so panicked about her son, and she waited all day to get to the front of the line, the doctor then told her, do blah, 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 but whatever you do, don't blah, blah, blah. And she was so stressed she couldn't remember what the doctor told her, and she had no way of reading the instructions that he sent her, and no other woman could read what the doctor had written down, that she got home and she did nothing because she didn't know what the do was, and she didn't know what the don't was, and she didn't want to kill her son. And she said, fortunately he lived, but now that I can read and write, I will go with my friends to the clinic, and I'll know the do and I'll know the don't, and their children will live. So something as simple as learning how to read and write can save a life. We want everyone in South Sudan to learn how to read and write. We're at a 27% literacy rate, so the whole nation is really in bondage by not being able to read and write. So the goal is to raise the overall literacy rate, but we do know that the women spend the most time in close proximity in their compounds, so they have the most access to everyone, so their children, their husbands, their brothers, their fathers. So by teaching the women and girls, they're teaching everybody else. We just know that the women are very, very interested in learning how to read and write, and they're their children's first teachers. So we did focus on the women. The other thing is we really would like the women to be more involved in the development of the nation of South Sudan. The country is just in flux right now. It's a brand new baby nation. It doesn't have established laws. There's no agreed upon constitution. There's never been an election held. So we would like the women to have the skills to be a part of the process of developing a country that protects them and the interests of their families and their children, instead of just being affected by the decisions made by others. So that's important to us as well, but we really are focused on raising the literacy rate for the entire nation, and we know that the women are an important part of that. So we have large community learning centers, and there anyone, regardless of age or gender, can come and learn how to read and write. So it's like an informal school, but you can come in the morning or the afternoon and learn literacy skills. And then off of the Community Learning Center, we have Literacy at the Well site. So our teachers come and they're trained at the Community Learning Center. And that's where they pick up their paycheck, that's where they get their materials. But at the Literacy at the Well sites, those teachers are teaching women how to read and write as they're waiting for water at wells. So the most highly populated wells would have a teacher at the well. So when the women and girls are coming and they're waiting for water, that's where they learn how to read and write. So that's why it's called Literacy at the Well. So they bring home clean water and the lessons they learned home to their families. And right before they leave every day, there's sort of a summary. What are you going to teach your family when you get home? And they practice what they're going to teach their families when they get home. So they bring home the water and then teach their families what they learned. So it really helps multiply what we're doing. And it's just great. And the women are fantastic teachers. And we've just been surprised at how well the program's been working and how easy it is to expand. Well, our goal is to completely raise the literacy rate in Northern Bargazal, and then use it as an example of an easy to replicate program that's very cost efficient. The costs are very low in our program. So what we'd like to do is then help the Ministry of Education in South Sudan be able to repeat that throughout the rest of the country. So in my lifetime, you know, I know it's doable. I would like to see South Sudan be at least 50% literacy. We're at 27%. 50% is still pathetically low, but at 50%, you're more likely that a legacy of literacy will happen for the next generation. At 27%, the country really is unable to develop the things it needs on its own, and it remains vulnerable and dependent. So that's the goal, our goal is to get South Sudan to 50%.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.